You're listening to Before We Get It Right, real moms, real conversations for the messy middle. I'm Leah.
And I'm Catherine, and this is a space for honesty, not perfection, before we get it right. Does Adam ask you what you want for Mother's Day?
We do the same thing every year. He gets me the photos, the family photos I shared.
Oh,
He
yeah.
literally his gift, which he really lucks out, but like all he reaches out. It's the same photographer every year. She's a friend. She did our wedding. She lives near us. He reaches out. She comes to our home. She takes pictures of our family. I get these pictures every year, which I love so much.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Well, Brad asked me what I want this year, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I actually want a dumpster to be delivered to our house because I want to throw a bunch of shit away.
Yeah, my mother-in-law does that every year. It's a great idea.
Like, we're coming up on 5 years being in their house, and I want to get rid of stuff. So, that's what I asked for this year.
Good idea.
And on Mother's Day, I want the dumpster at my house, and then I want everyone to leave me alone so that I can clear shit. I thought that was a great idea. He was like, "So you want a dumpster for Mother's Day?" I said, "You can even make that my birthday present this year too."
Yeah, because 'cause you're always back to back.
Okay, today's episode feels very us. Like this is something we have been talking about behind the scenes for a while, I feel like.
Yeah, and honestly, something we've been living in real time this year.
We are talking about community, but not just the idea of it, the real life, getting out of your house, sitting next to people kind of community.
Like actual face-to-face interaction, not liking somebody's Instagram story and calling it connection.
Exactly. And also the rise of what we're calling grandma hobbies.
Grandma hobbies. Yes, that may sound familiar to all of you because I feel like that's become a trendy term, but it really is something that I know I stand behind. Embroidery, knitting, baking, crafting, like just give me all of it.
But really, this episode is about why people are craving connection more than ever and how to bring more of that into your life. So let's start here. What are you noticing? Because something really has shifted.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a long time, especially post-COVID, everything really moved online and it worked until it didn't. Like people built businesses online, friendships online, communities online, but now it feels like there's this collective realization of this isn't enough.
And we hear that all the time now, people craving connection, but it's not just a feeling anymore. There's actual data behind it.
Yeah, and when I started looking into it, honestly, it made so much sense. Like the US Surgeon General actually put out a report saying that loneliness and isolation have reached epidemic levels and that it has the same health impact as smoking like 15 cigarettes a day, which is crazy to think about.
That is crazy to think about. And what about like, I mean, that comparison is just insane.
Well, you forget, our mental health obviously impacts so much of our physical health. And there was even another study, though, that said about 1 in 2 adults report experiencing loneliness. Like, if you think about it, that's half the population.
Which makes you realize this isn't just a some people problem. Like this is everyone.
Exactly, and I think what's interesting is we're moving in a direction where we're more connected than ever, like, we're texting, we're on social media, we're constantly in communication, but at the same time, we're not actually together.
It's like we really did start to replace depth with convenience.
Yes, and I see it every single day right here in our store at Polished Prints. People don't just come in to shop, they linger, they talk, they wanna connect, not just with us, but also with each other. And I think what's really interesting is they're not necessarily looking for something big or complicated, they really just wanna be around other people.
Like we forget really how important proximity really is.
Exactly, and I think that's why these grandma hobbies are having a moment because they force you to slow down and they create space for connection in a really natural way.
I feel like you've been doing a ton of connection at your store, which I'm sad that I'm not there. I don't get FOMO often, but I feel like I've been getting FOMO with all these events you've been having. But you have to talk about Sip and Stitch because I feel like that was just such a good turning point.
It really was, and it's interesting because we did the sip and stitch, but we've also done things like mahjong in here where a lot of people came in and learned that, which I know is really trendy right now, but it's also super fun. So we've done that. We have more workshops coming up next month, and really, for me, what I realized and what kind of started us hosting more of these types of events was that I too felt like I'd see these people in our store, but I wasn't really getting to connect with them a little bit more. So with the sip and stitch, I had seen somebody else do that who I followed online for a long time. And mind you, I didn't know how to do hand stitch embroidery at all. So I learned and I decided I was going to teach the workshop. So
I didn't even realize that you're the one that taught it.
I did. I led this workshop.
You had someone come in to teach.
No, because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just teach myself." And funny story behind that is I had never hand stitch embroidered a day in my life, and I had told my sister-in-law who was learning how to do it herself just by coincidence, and it was, like, 2 weeks before this workshop, and I was like, "Yeah, this is coming up," and she goes, "Yeah, isn't it so hard? Like, it's really tough." I said, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, aren't you going to a workshop to learn?" I was like, "No, girl, I'm supposed to be teaching the workshop." And so I did learn, and it actually wasn't as challenging as I thought. We did a really simple stitch, but the beauty of it was that we had 10, I think actually there were 12 people who came. We all sat at a long table. We served wine and snacks. Everybody had their own little hand embroidery kit. I briefly taught them how to do it, but the rest of it was just people chatting and getting to know each other, and it was really special.
And I think it's really important to say, I mean, this could be fun. Let's just try it and see what happens. And then here you just created like this really magical night for people to connect.
Absolutely. And I know, Catherine, you're living outside of Milwaukee, which I feel like is a very similar size to St. Louis. So we're both kind of in suburbia kind of areas, right? Have you noticed anything like this happening where you're at?
I'm not one to go to these kinds of things, which I really should be because I feel like anytime I do attend something like that, I always feel great when I'm there and leaving there. It's still like getting to that. I do think Wauwatosa, I know I've talked about them before, but like the Little Village Play Cafe, they do so much with hosting events in their space where they have, a charcuterie board night, like learning how to make that. They have like flower shops, and it's more for moms and adults. Like it's not just kid stuff there. So I feel like they do a really great job doing community events, and then they pull in a ton of small businesses to come into that space as well.
That's amazing. I follow them online and I get a lot of inspiration from them because they did, I think it was last weekend, they did a pop up somewhere where they had kids put their handprints, like they put glue on their handprints and put them into like the middle of a glass picture frame and then put flower petals around it. It was basically that child's handprint, but in florals framed for mom for Mother's Day. And it was such a unique and beautiful idea.
I didn't
Yeah,
even
they said they sold out in like 30 minutes of 60 of them.
Abby does a great job there. Your spaces are different. Obviously, hers is a play cafe, but I feel like the environment that both of you guys create with a sense of community are very similar.
I love that. And I think she has a
I need
space
to visit both of them. I just need
You
to go
do.
to the events.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, one of the things that I noticed because I mentioned we did mahjong and we had the stitch and sip, and we've also had this event we call In Good Company where women get together and we have a quote unquote panel loosely, but people share their stories. But I just imagine people coming with their friends. But actually, what's happened at all of these different things is there have been a number of people that have come solo, and they have told me I almost didn't come tonight, or like they had a friend back out that was supposed to come with them and they came anyways. And they've all been like, I'm so glad I came because they were able to connect with other people. Maybe they wouldn't have if they came with another person.
Yeah, I think that part can be a little bit scary though. We've talked about how hard it is to make mom friends. And I feel like when you do these types of events or go to these types of activities, you're really putting yourself out there.
Definitely. And I think that also stops a lot of people from starting these types of groups or starting an activity like this and putting it out into the world. And not only that, but we talked about Polished Prints, we talked about the Play Cafe. We both have physical spaces. But if somebody is out there and they want to start something, but they don't have a storefront, what do they do?
So let's talk about the people listening, like myself, who's talking, but who don't have a storefront because it's easy to think, well, yeah, you can do that because you have a space, which is what I would say to you, Leah, as someone I don't have that space. And honestly, to the Little Village Play Cafe isn't that close to me. So, like, on Monday nights is usually when they have their events. I That's, like, when Ada has dance. Monday nights are just family-wise very busy for me, so I do tend to pass up going to a lot of them, but, yeah, I do think it is easier when you have a space, but what do you do when you don't?
Yeah, see, it definitely is easier, but at the same time, I don't think that you need one. There are so many ways to create community without a physical store. And I say community, like you said, Catherine, we've talked about not how hard it is to make mom friends, but I think building a community can kind of be an addition to that. Like, you're not necessarily creating something or starting something to make your best friends. You know what I mean? Like, you're really starting that to find people with common interests, and so you can do a pop-up somewhere, like host something at the Little Village Play Cafe. You could do meetups at a coffee shop or park. There's a group here in St. Louis that's a walking club, like a mom's walking club, and they go in the mornings, and it was one woman started it. She started an Instagram for it, and now there's like 50, 60 people, I think, that do this on a weekly basis, and their community is huge just because she needed friends to go walk with her stroller.
Oh
So I
my
think there's, like, all kinds of opportunity. Yeah,
I wanna do a walking club. Maybe that'll get me walking more.
right? Like, put it out there and say, "Hey, I wanna do a walking club," and people could come. Another idea that I've seen out there, which is very scary, is
I'm scared. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say doing, like, a book club or a craft night even in your home. I've seen people do pop-up coffee shops or breakfasts in their house and selling tickets to it, like, really creative things. I've seen that more in cities versus, like, here. I feel like I don't know about you, but in the suburbs here, I think people would be like, "This person's letting these strangers into their house. What the heck is happening?" But at the same time, it is a unique idea to be able to meet other people.
You've been to my house. I live in, like, the country. I don't know if that would work for me, but oh, I was gonna say, I feel like I've even talked to you about, like, a Menley mom situation, like, the speed dating situation and, like, the conversation cards, and I should totally follow through with actually creating that, but that has been an idea that has lingered in my brain for a long time.
Definitely, and I think living so close to Wauwatosa, which seems like it's very
Very tight-knit
important.
community.
Is it?
Yeah, but also, like, very open, like, they
Yeah,
everyone, you know,
right.
not like a cliquey environment by any means. Everyone is so nice and welcoming. I mean, like, Little Geese Shop, Listen Littles, like, they're customers of yours too, and yeah, everyone's just they're wonderful. Very
Yeah,
supportive, especially of other small business owners. But like you said, I feel like you don't need a physical space like we've mentioned before. I mean, you could even bring your laptop and co-work together situation. I was just thinking about this. I have a neighbor down the road who quit her job. We've been getting the kids together a little bit more, and I feel like she's kind of navigating a newer journey of like doing her own thing and things like that. And I could totally just reach out to be like, hey, do you want to go to the coffee shop and I don't know, like brain dump or do some work together or something like that? For me, it takes more energy. Like it takes a lot of energy to get there. And sometimes I just don't have the energy. But once I put the energy in and I get there, I never regret doing something like that.
no. And I feel like when you feel the motivation in it too, you kinda have to run with it because or else that motivation is gonna go away and you're going to overthink it, and I think the biggest part of it all is that you can't overthink it because if you do, your mind is gonna tell you all the reasons not to do something and put yourself out there, when in reality, your intuition knows that's the right thing.
Are you telling me I need more friends?
No, I'm your friend.
I know, but you don't live here. You're not in close proximity to me.
I know, but I do feel like you have a great, community of women that you know. You're always talking about somebody, and they all seem wonderful.
A lot of great people here. But I do think when it comes to something like this and starting these types of things, everyone is waiting for someone else to go first, like me.
Yes, that's the thing, nobody wants to be the one to initiate, but everybody wants to be invited.
And like we've mentioned, it really is requiring a level of vulnerability.
Oh, 100% because you might not even know what you're doing. Like with Sip and Stitch, as I shared, literally did not know what I was doing, but I did it anyways. And I think that that's the biggest takeaway is you don't have to be perfect to create something meaningful. You just have to be willing to try.
And also be okay if it's a little awkward at first.
Yes, like the first 10 minutes might feel a little weird, but people settle in and then something really beautiful happens.
Not that I don't crave community, but I'm very comfortable not craving community.
Totally. Well, I think it also can be intimidating when you have a really busy life.
I
And
like community on my own time and terms.
yeah, I think it's like you don't want to force it.
No, no. Sometimes I like my solitude. I feel like once you do put yourself out there, there's this other layer to it that people don't always expect.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of my favorite part of all of it because it's not just about being around people, it's about what happens while you're doing something together. Like these grandma hobbies, they're actually doing so much more than we give them credit for.
I would like you to say more about that because I have not participated in grandma hobbies as much as you have.
I have made them my personality for a little while now, and for good reason. Like when I started embroidery, I thought I was just going to be this like when I became curious about starting embroidery, I more so was doing it to have this fun random skill that I thought would be fun, but then I realized that I connected with it a lot more, wanted to explore it, do a workshop, and teach other people how to do the same. And I think that's the same with most creative hobbies, right? It brings you back to this version of yourself that you don't tap into very often. Like when you're a kid, you just do things, you color, you create, you try things without worrying if you're good at them.
Yeah, and there's no pressure to be productive or perfect.
Exactly. And somewhere along the way, I think that we lose that. Everything becomes about output or efficiency or doing something well. And these hobbies, whether it's embroidery, crafting, baking, anything, they bring you back to that inner child energy where you're just creating for the sake of it.
That's so true. I was just thinking about my daughter. I mean, Ada loves art. Like, she could sit at our kitchen table. You've been,
Yeah.
oh, she will sit there, she will color. And so I love doing it with her. Not only does she love me sitting next to her doing art, but I find myself really enjoying coloring. Like, that's therapeutic. I'm not the best drawer, but it's just so fun. And then also, she's been getting more into baking. And I don't know if you saw, which I know you my cakey cake that we made,
It's very impressive.
I thought turned out great. I don't even bake regular cakes, let alone, like, get fondant and all the things. I spent a lot of money on that cake, but it was so fun to do it together, and so I have been tapping I guess my grandma hobbies have I've been tapping into it with my kid, which I do think is also extra special.
Definitely, because it teaches them to do that too. And on top of it, there's this mental health component too. There's a lot of research that does show that repetitive hands on activities like stitching or knitting or coloring or baking, all of those things can reduce stress and anxiety because they activate a similar response in your brain as meditation. So you're slowing down, you're focusing, you're giving your brain a break from all the constant stimulation, and you're allowing yourself to just enjoy something for a moment.
And you're doing it with other people.
Exactly, which is where all this kind of comes together, right? Because now you're not just regulating your nervous system, you're also finding people who are into the same things you are. And I think that's such an underrated way to build community.
And it gives you this immediate point of connection.
Yeah, like what you were talking about with Ada. Now that's something she's going to remember for so many years is how you did that together. And the beauty of it too, especially when you're with strangers, is that you don't really have to force conversation or figure out what to talk about. You're sitting next to someone, you're both working on something, and naturally you just start talking about it. And then that turns into something else. And before you know it, you're connecting in a way that feels really easy and natural. You don't have to stress about the small talk. You can just communicate openly.
Yeah, it's like you have a built-in common ground.
Exactly. And I think that's why something like Sip and Stitch works so well. It wasn't come network or come introduce yourself. It was, hey, let's make something. And in the process, you might find your people.
As you were talking, I feel like something I need to do personally. So, I love my meditation, right? Like I love meditating. Maybe that's why I don't have time for other hobbies because in my free time, what I like to do is meditate. I am a part of this app where they do live meditations, but she lives in New York. So, and she does have an actual physical space there. And I would love to be able to go out there. She has this whole community out there. It's on my list of things I would love to go do. I feel like that would bring me so much joy, and maybe I need to look at finding something like that here, because I it's not something that I've really looked for here. It's more of this online community that I'm a part of, but as we were talking, it really just got me thinking that I should really look into that.
I think that's a great idea.
And if something doesn't exist like that here, you know what I'm gonna do?
That's your opportunity to create it.
Yeah, the when you were talking about stitching, not that I wouldn't like to do those things. That is just not where I would gravitate towards. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I think it's different for everybody, right? Like for me, I'm basically here to make anything I can with my hands. And so I think any new skill I can pick up or learn, I'm here for that. Cause I was a lot like Ada. I was a big craft kid and that was all I wanted to do all the time. But I never learned to sew. I never learned how to do these like tangible things you can actually put into your everyday life. So I feel like it's just channeling those parts of myself. And I think that's exactly why this matters. It brings everything full circle. You can find community, you can get in touch with yourself and, help your mental health while you're at it.
Yeah, and I think it's figuring out what works for you. You know, like you said, you gravitate towards doing things with your hand. I gravitate towards stillness. I need to find other people to be still with, I guess. Okay, let's give people something they can actually do after listening to this.
Yes, because this doesn't have to stay theoretical.
So, how do you create community?
Here's the simplest way to think about it. One, start with a shared interest. What do you like to do? Take a look inside yourself. Do you like to read? Do you like to walk, craft? You're really into coffee? Are you into working out? Start there and identify something that is important to you.
And keep it low pressure. It doesn't need to be this full blown event. It can literally be, hey, I'm going on a walk Saturday morning if anyone wants to join me.
Exactly. Then you pick a time and a place and you commit to it. Even if only one person shows up, you still did it.
And even if no one shows up, you are still going to need to take that walk anyway. So
Yeah, maybe find a friend though who definitely will show up so you don't feel so alone. But somebody will. One person will show up.
be consistent. Community isn't built in one event, it really is built over time.
Definitely. And that is something that I think is preached throughout all levels of business or community building or anything is consistency. The more people can rely on it, the more likely they are to take it seriously and to show up.
It
No,
really does take time, though, for sure.
it really does. And it can be really discouraging in the beginning. But if you just keep going, it's like with anything,
Totally.
it starts to click. Number five, be the one who goes first. That is really the biggest thing is to stop waiting for somebody else to create it and go ahead and do it yourself.
I love that.
Because at the end of the day, that is how you become the village. And I think that's what people are really craving right now is a sense of belonging.
That could not be more true. I think, like we've talked about in the past, when you become a mom or a business owner or any of those things, you tend to, I don't want to say lose yourself, but find these new identities. And as you're finding yourself and you're evolving and you're growing as a human, as a mom, as a business owner, we all want that sense of belonging.
Definitely. And I think that this just overall, for moms or not moms, this just all feels very relevant to where people are right now. People want to feel connected, especially even though COVID feels like it was a long time ago. It really wasn't. And I think so many of us are really just kind of bouncing back from that.
Gosh, yeah, 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild, wild times. So, if you've been waiting for a sign to start something, this conversation is it.
Text the group chat, plan the thing, start small, just begin.
And if you do, tag us because we want to see what you're doing. And maybe we could somehow join you.
Because truly, at the end of the day, there's nothing better than bringing people together.